Welcome back, guys. This is weekly coaching number 23. I am Mr. Rip, and this is one of those games that we're going to look at where it goes on for way too long because it was super hard to coordinate. They ended up with two super farmed cores on their team, the Void and the Sniper, but they're playing against an AM with 886 last hits, and they didn't get to control any of the Roches. So my theory on this one is that because it's already hard to coordinate, sometimes in these games, the answer is it's not actually about how do we win in the mid game or the late game. It's about if we're making like good tempo moves in like the early and the mid game to prevent yourself ever getting to that point. Does that make sense, Louis?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be like doing what you can to coordinate with anybody on your team to shut people down early and kind of like dictate the flow of the game, right? Because if the game goes on for an hour, it's just a huge dice roll at that point. Like even like the best players will like misplay, or they won't save for buyback, or things get weird, right? The longer the game goes. So
it's just like anyone's game.
Yeah, exactly. Because it tends to balance out, especially like if you have a lead, even if you maintain that lead, if they're like, let's say you have like a 10k gold lead, right? If they're still getting to like 30k net worth each, they still have all the items they need. So that lead doesn't necessarily mean anything after a while. You know, that's why you'll see like in some of these pro games, like they're trying to, remember like last patch, they'd be trying to push high ground with like a 30k gold lead in Roche, and they still couldn't end the game, right?
Yeah.
Because the game goes late enough and it just gets really weird. So
yeah, I feel like the later the game goes, like the less money is important.
Yeah, the less important it is, and kind of the less control you have over it, especially as a support player. So maybe what we can do, because you were in party with the Doom, and you were laning with the Doom, right?
Yeah.
And this AM was the problem, and you were laning against the AM. So perhaps there's something we could have done in the lane or in the mid game to specifically like focus more on the AM, right?
Yeah.
Okay, rune fight, cool. A little bit of aggressive movement there, by the way. Okay, let's see, where are you? There you are. By the way,
this is I died silly.
Oh, gotcha. But let's see. So first off, we want to look at the items and all that stuff. I would say these are fine. This is all good. 2 sentries is great to start with. I'd say when you take a bunch of damage on the rune fight, you should immediately send some more regen. Okay.
Okay.
That's first thing. Just send yourself extra tangos or a salve or something. The other thing is, I played an Ench game the other day, and I focused a lot more on leveling up Nature's Attendants, and I actually skipped my queue for a really long time.
Okay.
The idea being is that this is such a crazy heal that it allows you to kind of trade with anybody, and it allows you to sort of play like an offlaner for quite a while.
Yeah.
So actually maxing Nature's Attendants can be kind of nuts. It's worth thinking about for sure. And the other thing is, when I was picking my facet, I looked at this one, the Overprotective Wisps, and initially it sounds good, but then you realize that you have to take 250 damage for one wisp to appear.
It does stack though, yeah.
Yeah, it stacks, but that means you would need to take 1,000 damage to get all 4 of them, right?
But I think you get the extra heal if you went as well. But I do know it does heal quite a lot.
Okay.
Like you'll heal the 200. You'll heal more than the 250 damage back.
Okay, because one wisp for 4 seconds, even if that wisp was maxed out. Like if you add your Nature's Attendants max, that's like 16 times 4. What is that? 64, right? So it's okay, but this is really only going to be good like later in the game, whereas her other facet might end up being better, and I think this is the one that's picked more often, by the way. This Spellbound one, simply because you're getting a cast range bonus on enchant, which is pretty nice. Because I think it's 500 up to 650, and this makes it 550 up to 850. So that's a really long range enchant. a slow, and then you're also getting the attack range and the on both yourself and the creeps. So it's kind of that idea about like how often is the facet actually going to be in effect. Like overprotective wisps is not going to do much for you for most of the time, but you will get benefit out of this extended cast range and attack range on enchant for a lot of the game, right? So consider this one. Like what I did is I took Spellbound, but then I just leveled up Nature's Attendance, which seems like counterintuitive, right? It seems like a contradiction. But I think it can be good. I don't think either of her facets are like extremely good or anything, but it might be worth thinking about. This is why we got to send ourselves more regen, by the way. And if you did have the E right now, like you would be able to, you'd be able to outtrade her. Okay, so let's see. So we die, we come back, brought ourselves more regen. Awesome. Dewarded. Okay, block that one. Cool. And let's think about the lane here for a second, right? So you and Hoodwink are pretty similar types of heroes. You're both kind of like ranged, you shit out damage, you set up kills. How about AM versus Doom? Like, what types of heroes are these?
I thought like the Doom. I asked Reckon. I asked like do you reckon you can like beat him? He's like, yeah, I've got like a lot of armor. So like take my mana, but he didn't really say he had like was worried about that he was going to kill him. If that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
He was like, eventually I'll wear him down before he wears me down.
Yeah, and I would agree with that for the most part. But what I would say is that a lot of Doom's damage output is based off of these two spells, Scorched Earth and Infernal Blade. So if the AM is good and the AM is harassing the Doom a lot, Doom can't do any damage back to him. So even though AM can't really kill the Doom or boot him out of lane, like if AM's aggressive, Doom won't be able to push AM out of lane either.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would be thinking of this, especially because, you know, Doom has Devour and he's skilled at level 2, right? This is a farming lane. So it's Doom farming versus AM farming, and basically when Doom hits 6, that's when you can boot the AM out of lane, because you just Doom him and kill him, right?
Yeah.
Up until that point, we don't really need to think about being aggressive. We just want to play for efficiency. So we want to be thinking a lot more about the camps and denies and harass to force them to buy regen and stuff like that. But we really shouldn't be expecting to get any kills on the AM because we just don't have any reliable stuns for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. So he'll always just blink away if you ever get close to killing him. So not really viable to try and kill him. Doom is much more killable on your team. So you guys have like the quote unquote weaker lane, but it's not that much. It's not super duper weak, right? Like it's just it's going to be more of a passive farm fest. So our priority then would be to like make sure that Doom is able to farm basically at all times, because we just want and try and give him solo XP where possible, but it's not a super high priority. It's more just like that we're keeping even in this lane. And if we're staying even in this lane and then we play around like Doom's level 6, then we should end up winning this lane. Because like this is an example, right? Like he just got hit a couple times. He's totally out of mana already. And your buddy isn't buying any extra mana at all. It's not like he's buying like a sticker or like a passive regen item or a soul ring or anything. So if he's not going to buy anything, it's going to be impossible for you guys to actually like maintain aggression on this guy. And this is sort of just like the way an AM lane works. Like he actually does, if it's melee versus melee, AM actually 1v1s like super well because of this element. Any hero that relies on spells to kind of do damage, AM will kind of outdo them over a long enough time. It's a little bit like playing against a lifestealer, right? Like he just kind of kills you on attrition. You just run out of resources. Even though he doesn't have much actual kill threat on you, right?
Yeah.
So once we establish all of that, and we're like, okay, this is sort of a farmy lane. We're just trying to make sure we can get Doom to 6 and Doom never dies and Doom gets everything he needs. Then we start thinking about other objectives as well. So as long as Doom can farm, what else can I do to have impact? So we go for the Wisdom rune. You know, does my sniper need help with the runes? I would say in this instance, Probably not. It's an Earthshaker mid. That kind of sucks. We don't really need to worry too much about rune rotations. We'd also be wanting to think about stacks wherever possible, especially because not only do we have this Doom that can do stacks, but we have a Sniper mid that can do stacks.
Okay.
Hopefully, I don't know how much him taking scatter shot affects that. And we also have a
I didn't
Void
wanna-
who later on will want to do stacks.
I didn't want to take them too big because like Earthshaker will just ulti them, if that makes sense.
That's where, sure, and that's a relevant concern, but that's where your game, like your minute to minute decision making comes into play. So that would be where you do things like, okay, I'm going to make stacks and I'm going to put an observer ward here and I'm going to keep track of where Shaker goes.
Okay.
You see? And so like I know if he comes here to farm these, like we can contest it. So basically like you invest in it and then you protect it. Right?
Okay.
Because whenever you have like these farming cores, like I mean, your lineup is Void, Sniper, Doom. That's super greedy, right? Super, super greedy. Nothing you can do about that, having to like first pick Enchantress. But it is relevant to recognize that. Like if everybody gets to farm as much as they want to, like what does this game look like? You have an Earthshaker mid. Okay, he's gonna buy, you know, his Blink and his Ag Scepter and maybe a Refresher Orb or some stupid crap, right? Basically a spellcaster, though. You've got Magnus, right? He's going to do the same thing as Earthshaker. He's just going to buy these utility items like Blink. They're just going to become team fighters. Their late game damage output is not going to be as good as a Faceless Void plus a Sniper. Okay? AM is typically a hero that you don't want to go to late game against, but against a Faceless Void and a Doom, it actually should be pretty easy for you. Because it should be super easy for the Void to land a Chrono on... We're talking hypothetically here, right? It should be really easy for Void to land a Chrono on AM, and then for Doom to follow up with Doom. Like, super easy. I mean, you can even, if he gets the angle right, you can Doom AM in the Chrono before the Chrono even ends. So AM should have an almost impossible game here. It should be extremely hard because this is not a good carry matchup for him, and then Doom is just the ultimate like screw your one hero character, right? And he has a lot of good targets to Doom. Dooming Magnus or Earthshaker or AM are all super impactful heroes to Doom. Whereas like if you flipped it and you guys had an Earthshaker and they had a Sniper, Dooming a Sniper kind of sucks ass, right? Yeah. So is that making sense? You guys should be favored late game. Also, what's up, Sweet? How's it going? You guys should definitely be favored late game. So, all this is to say is that basically focusing on stacks and focusing on map control as much as possible is going to be super relevant this game, because we should just win on paper if the game goes long, right? But our objective here is to look at areas where we could have accelerated the game. So, for instance, putting points in Nature's Attendance, allowing you to like trade, right? It's going to be really good. Putting points in Enchant is going to accelerate things too. Because first off, just like I know it doesn't seem like you're super comfortable doing that, but it's like I was saying last time, like this is kind of a defining point of the hero. Go ahead.
I think in the other games, I went straight up like enchant impetus or enchant and then like more, but I think in like this one it was like because Hoodwink was doing a lot of damage with its Q, and then I asked like the person like, do you want the like thing? He's like, nah, just get the impetus like for to do like when he like dooms someone, he'll just try like nuke them like down then. He was like they had like the Hoodwink like anti push, if that makes sense, with the like the acorn in the tree, like the bushwhack, like it kills the creeps quickly. So it was like, realistically, like if I get this at this point now, I don't think we push like either. Like it's just gonna get like sent back to us.
Yes, but there's also you shouldn't expect to kill the tower with like one wave, right? So the way you set up the tower push is first off you have enchant, so you can grab jungle creeps or even just enemy lane creeps, right? You wait until you have a catapult coming in, so around 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and we try and set up a double wave by doing a single pull, right?
Yeah, but I meant because like Bushwhack on Bushwhack on thingy at level 4, like 3 or 4 will kill like any basically any wave, if that makes sense.
Yes,
Like,
she has good wave clear, but there's like there's ways to play around it. So
okay.
like obviously like the first one is, when you enchant your creep, you don't have to stick it in the wave where it gets bushwhacked with everything else. That's the first thing. Second thing is like going aggressive on the Hoodwing so that she doesn't have that spell available. The third one is like, if you can get your mid or other heroes to rotate in to help you with the push, or if you can kill the Hoodwink like during the push. There's a lot of like things. Like just because she has like a big AoE damage spell doesn't mean it's like she can stop that push forever, right?
Okay.
So this instance is great. This is sort of the moment we would be looking to take this tower. We have the catapult wave coming in. We have a little bit of this wave left over. If we had our enchant here leveled up, we could go grab these acorn warriors, right? And with our mid here and the 5 and the Doom, who has Doom and you here, this should be a death push. So like if this was a pro game, they would not bother defending against this shit.
Oh, okay.
Like everything is set up. You have the camp ready, you have a double wave, and you have your ultimates on relevant heroes. So like if they go to fight you, they get doomed and they get plinked down by sniper, and then you have a massive wave, and then Pudge is like hooking people out from under the tower, right? So we don't know. I haven't watched it yet, but this should result in a dead tower, right? So immediately what's already going wrong because Sniper's leaving, right? Pudge is hanging around. That's good. And we don't have our enchant. That's another element of it. This is another thing too. Try and protect this catapult. You might have to actually physically tank for it. And then you guys coming around to like grab the wave. See, we're not protecting the catapult, right?
Yeah.
So all of this should be, we want to be anchored to this thing and protecting it. And we want to try and, I know it's not always possible because like you got to ask people to coordinate, but this is be where you could like ping the shit out of the tower and be like, let's push. Even commit your glyph to protect the wave, right?
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of things here. There's a lot of ways you can do this. But it all starts with, realizing that this is a moment where the tower can die. Like you have to identify that. You have your Doom timing, you have a catapult, you're a pushing hero, and you have multiple heroes in the lane, and you have the camp available, right? So basically what this comes down to is like start putting points in enchant. Don't worry about putting a lot of points into impetus. You don't need that many. Even just 1 point in it does a lot of damage. And you really don't have the mana to sustain spamming this over and over again. I mean, think about it, right? Costs 50 mana per spear. You get to shoot 10 times and you're out of mana.
Yeah.
Kind of the fun thing about any hero that has like an orb ability like this, you start thinking of their mana like ammunition. You got 10 javelins you can throw. That's it, because you got 500 mana. The 543 doesn't cut it. That's not enough. Maybe 11 with regen, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense? So yeah, points in enchant for sure. That's the first thing. So then think about what would happen, right? So if we killed the tower here, that would open the map up. And by opening the map up, we then restrict AM's farm. Because once this tower is dead, we can start living in this area securely. That's a good Doom right there. But instead, this kind of happens. We don't kill the tower. We kind of linger around too long, and they rotate all 5 heroes in, right?
Yeah.
So, really, the only thing you can do about this is you've got to prepare your own hero, right? So having the enchant. But also, you need to, like, tell your team. Like, tell them when it's a good time to push, and tell them when it isn't a good time to push anymore. So, like, in order to prevent this thing from happening, where everybody just rotates in and kills you, easy way you can think of it is, like, you guys are already applying pressure, right? Actually, back here. So, this is where it starts. So, yada, yada, yada. We're 2v2ing. We actually let her... Well, did Hoodwink steal it, or did she just try to steal it? I think you secured this one, right?
Yeah.
That's good. Okay. So once your heroes start rotating in, you have to realize that it's going to start a team fight, whether or not you guys kind of want one.
Okay.
Because the enemy team is going to just randomly start rotating in, right? So let's see, where does this all start? So now we've drawn Earthshaker here, and then they're going on Doom. So it's already kind of starting, right? Like the mid has come.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now your team has started bringing heroes. This happened because Earthshaker came here. So if Earthshaker doesn't come here, then he doesn't force you away, and then these two can't force Doom away, right? So now these two are responding to Earthshaker coming here. Not well, but they are responding, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now the mid and the 5 are here, and the enemy mid is here. Okay, so now Magnus has come here. So now the position 3 has rotated in, right? Are you seeing all this play out?
Yeah, yeah.
And now the ogre is leaving farm. He's leaving farm to TP up here. So literally all 5 heroes are now showing up in this lane because Earthshaker made one rotation. It's just created a domino effect where now every hero is going to show up here. This is the reason Void has free farm.
Yeah, that's what we said. We was like, it's technically maybe good if he uses the farm though.
Which is all good and, fine and good, but you have to realize also the amount of space is giving to Void is only so relevant, right? So he can only physically farm so much stuff in a given amount of time, and that means he can only make so much gold. So just because there's no hero in his lane, yeah, he has space, but does that space actually translate to more gold?
Okay.
And it kind of doesn't. It actually doesn't really. Like, he would probably get most of these creeps even if Ogre was still here. He's not going to start flash farming everything because he's a faceless Void and he has no AoE, right? So space for Void doesn't matter unless Void is losing his lane. And in this case, he was already winning his lane. So it's actually what's supposed to happen, really, is that Void is supposed to kill this wave and see that everyone is grouping here, and he's supposed to either take the gate or TP here and come chrono the shit out of these guys with the catapult. That's what's supposed to happen. At a high level, like, he would be watching all this shit and he'd be aware of this and he would come here. Away from the space. Because he doesn't actually need the space, and he has a critical timing as well. Or he would come to mid and he would defend mid. Whatever.
Okay.
But anyway, okay, so this is all just to say, like, you can start reading when this big random team fight is going to happen, okay?
Okay, so like if someone comes, just expect to fight.
Yeah, basically. Once you see someone who was not originally in your lane show up in your lane, you can then expect even more heroes to start coming into your lane. Because sort of the way it works is that people kind of get like... they get like attracted to areas. It's like a sonar ping like coming off. Yeah, a little bit tunnel vision, but like sort of a way you can kind of think of it is kind of like the top lane is like a gravity well that starts sucking everybody in, sort of. And it's not to say that they shouldn't come here or that they should come here or anything like that. It's just like, for you can recognize, okay, people are starting to come to this lane, right? And if they're not coming to the other lanes, like this didn't happen in middle or it never happened in bottom, then you can start identifying, okay, they're coming to top. This is the only place that they've bothered to come to. And so they're probably going to keep coming here until everyone's dead and the towers are gone. That's just what happens in these low rank games. Like, they will keep sending 5 heroes here until this lane is won. Even though it's not correct, right? So, like, Magnus rotating in right now. This is objectively wrong. Like, Magnus should not be here. He should come grab this big-ass wave, and he should go farm his Blink Dagger, right? Because that's critical for him. He doesn't have his 6 yet. This is an instance, and you will see this all the time, of people rotating too early before they really should.
Yeah, like if they don't have anything, they
Yeah,
shouldn't rotate.
there's no frickin' reason for Magnus to come here. And this is why this tower push should work right now. It's because the enemy cores are supposed to be worried about their own timings. And they're supposed to be thinking like, oh, right, yeah, I'm close to my ult. I want to farm my Blink Dagger. I'm like not even, I'm 1/3 of the way there. Like, I don't have time to come here and defend this. I have to go do other things. So your early pressure should almost be like free, you know?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So when you start seeing the rotations, so first off, it's realizing, okay, rotations are going to happen if we're applying pressure to a lane. The second thing is thinking, are we okay with this? Do we want rotations in our lane? Like, do we want to fight them right now?
Yeah.
That would be the second thing to think about. So in this instance, when you see the Magnus come up here, kind of, yeah, we're sort of okay with it. And then we saw AM go mid. So the lane structure is already kind of broken down, right? Now they've got 2 cores in mid for whatever reason. They're playing 3 heroes top. There's no one bottom. Like, this is actually good for you. And you actually don't have to pressure the tower anymore.
Yeah.
Just because this rotation has happened with the Magnus and you can see the other 2 heroes in mid, this is where we actually need to start backing off and chilling. So this is lingering a little bit too long, and then this happens. And partly this is where, like, you know, the minutia of like looking at your own vision and looking around is where it's going to come into play. Because you had a ward that spotted this Earthshaker, right? So we want to watch it from your view, and we're watching the mini map right here, and we see Ogre here, and then watching this. Okay, we see Earthshaker starting to walk to top. This is all stuff that you can be kind of catching. We see Earthshaker walking here, still walking here, still walking here, and now he's here, right? And this is bad news bears. Like, this was a really good Doom. This like saved you guys. You guys should have gotten like wiped instantly here. This was a good Doom.
Yeah.
But this positioning should never occur because we had full vision of Earthshaker just walking here, right?
Okay.
We saw him middle and we saw him walk up like this, and then we see him cross this ward all the way up here. And this is why I keep stressing map awareness so much to you. It's because basically all of this setup to get this good tower push and then play for efficiency and then get the Magnus to rotate here and give Void the free farm, all of that is ruined if they're allowed to do things like this. You know, we assume that the Doom doesn't go off and he just like echo slams you, right? It all gets ruined because of just this one Earthshaker walking at you, which shouldn't really be possible. You know, but then it turns into a big team fight anyway, and now, okay, it's kind of over, right? Because they brought every single hero here. And so the problem is that now it feels like your map pressure got punished because they just brought more heroes. So it feels bad, right? Now you're like, oh, it doesn't work. They just bring more heroes and we lose. But that's the key. The key is that you know when to back off because you're watching what's going on in the other lanes and you're watching your wards. And so imagine if instead of you guys all getting wiped here, you just back off and Earthshaker has wasted his time walking up here and Magnus has wasted his time TPing here. And now they have 4 heroes stuck top and they haven't killed anybody and you just back off. Right, so that like push pull kind of almost like guerrilla tactics type of thinking. That's kind of the main thing to take away from this situation. Like, how do I force them to rotate and then make it so they get nothing out of the rotation and the rotation feels like shit for them?
Okay.
Any questions about it so far? I know this is kind of a weird concept.
Yeah, just not dying. Like, if they will bring stuff there and I don't die, it's not as good as it's good for us because if they've wasted a lot of rotations.
Yeah, exactly. But it's in the details that make this all possible, right? So it's the ward middle, the ward here, paying attention to like TPs and stuff like that, you know, seeing that Magnus TP'd up here, like all of this stuff are all the details that are going to make this like realistic. So now they're pushing your tower instead.
Okay. Now,
obviously, a lot of this is only going to be possible if you can get your team to coordinate and like they listen to you. Like if you say like back, and they just don't listen, there's nothing you can do, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, can you see how like all this stuff would add up to like this tower should be dead and then this rotation shouldn't
Yeah.
be possible? And then
Yeah.
if that's the case and we take this tower earlier, then the game just looks really, really different from that point. Right? And actually Void should have this tower dead already. So the whole thing should kind of result in like 2 of them. Or if they rotate up here like this, then Void should be killing this tower.
Yeah.
Right? So what happened is they rotated and Void didn't kill the tower and then you guys died. So like neither thing happened. But yeah. Anyway, all right. So let's see. And then this is the weird thing as well, right? So then all of that, and then they didn't even defend it. Then you guys just walk up here and randomly kill it. So, you know.
Yeah.
What? Right? Why did they bother rotating so many people in? And then they just let you kill it anyway. It doesn't make any sense. It's very strange. But okay. We've kind of gotten to this point now. We're kind of, we'll say, maybe 2 minutes behind where we would want to be. We kind of want to be at this game state around like 11 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
Where, you know, the catapult is like pushed down the tower and now we're here, right? So what would be, how do you think you accelerate the game from this point?
Make like wards in AM's jungle and make sure we can't farm.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'd say
And
that.
then-
And what else?
Rotate to other first towers, because now we've taken that one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Exactly. That's right. So, we'd want to be making sure that it's going to be kind of hard. It doesn't look like you guys should have many wards in stock because you already have 4 wards down right now, and these are all pretty recent. This one's expiring soon. This one's pretty fresh. So, you have this 1 ward to place, and I don't think you're going to have many other wards to really use. Let's see, look at the enemy team real quick. They've got 1, 2 obs. I can't look at their shop. But they shouldn't have that many wards either. They should have more available to place than you. But anyway, this is another element too. This is kind of a more advanced thing. Like setting up your next boost is going to be based on where you can put vision down, right? So
Yeah.
at this point, this ward is now useless. This ward is now useless. This ward is relevant for a mid push, but it's expiring soon. This ward is super relevant for a mid push. So this would kind of tell you, like, okay, if I want to be doing anything else, I might need to replace this ward soon. And then where do we want vision to now secure all of this farm? You probably want either this cliff or you just want a ward somewhere in here, right? Or even up here to spot this tower. And so this is where, like, what I would do if I were you, once we see the tower's about to go down, I would buy a bunch of sentries and I'd buy some wards and I'd buy some smokes. And then I would prepare to move into this area when it looks safe and de-ward all of this shit and put my own vision down.
Okay.
And then from there, then it's, okay, do we sit here and farm or do we move to mid and then get a ward around the tower and then go? Like, we leapfrog off of it, right? So we get this area, which then allows us to take this area, which then allows us to move into this area, right?
Okay.
So just doing it in like blocks. And in each area, we want to have vision control. Otherwise, it's not going to be viable to actually do it, right?
Yeah.
So that's where you come in. That's where you got to be thinking about your wards and stuff. Because your wards are more relevant than any items you're going to buy. Like, the ability to see where heroes are is going to be way more important than any items anyone's going to buy at this point, just because it's going to secure more farm for you or open up kill opportunities. So yeah, so then it would just be pushing this tower. So let's see what happens. Okay, they just don't bother defending it. Okay, so now the game state is kind of changed again. So they didn't bother defending top, really. They didn't bother defending middle. Void has gotten this tower on his own. So you guys have 3 tier 1s down. They don't have any towers. So now your team should be firmly in control of the game. So at this point, now what we're thinking about is, okay, what are the next core items that we need to force like tier 2 or Roche fights, right? So which heroes on my team are going to need blink daggers or BKBs or damage items or whatever the hell, right?
Yeah.
So, and then your first kind of big decision on what to itemize for comes in now. So, like, what do you think? What if you had to support your team? Like, what's the most valuable item you could buy here?
Probably 4 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I think I was gonna think pipe originally, but then I asked the Doom and he said he's gonna get pipe, so I didn't get it.
Okay, yeah. So if you know he's getting the pipe, that's going to be super delayed though, because he needs blink and he's going to go BKB, right? So you're not going to have a pipe for a really long time. I think the 4 staff is good. It's going to help you get away from the slow. It's going to help you versus like Fisher in some instances. Let's see. Let me think here. 4 staff would be okay. You've got a lot of magic damage kind of coming out from these guys, Ogre and Earthshaker, a little bit of Magnus.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was thinking, the pipe originally, because I was like, oh.
Yeah, I think a pipe's okay, or just even a glimmer is fine.
Okay.
Or in these instances where you really can't figure out like what the best support item to buy is, just going like mech is great.
Okay.
It's super good, especially because you already have the arcane boots, right?
Okay.
But that's the next consideration. You know, what item is everyone going to be buying? And then the next timing is based around that. So, you know, we don't have Doom for 57 seconds. We've got this Chrono, who the hell knows if he's ever going to actually cast it on anything, right? So it's really just playing around Doom at this point. Like, Doom dictates your next timing. His blink and his Doom timing, right? And that's where we want smokes available. We want to be ready to go in 1 minute once his Doom is up. And then we want to smoke and we want to go yank the shit out of AM. Or we can, if AM is too difficult to do because you just don't have enough lockdown, or maybe, you know, you don't have the best jump heroes for it, then you go look for the heroes that are going to dictate the team fights, right? You either go kill the core that's going to be the problem, or you kill the cores that are protecting that core. So you'd want to go gank the Magnus and the Earthshaker and slow down their timings. Because you don't want to farm against or play against a farmed Magnus or Earthshaker, right? Like, that's still going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
So if you can slow down this guy who's way behind on his items, partly because he made this rotation, right? You go kill this guy a few times. His blink gets delayed by like 5 minutes. If he doesn't have the blink, that allows you to take the tier 2s. And then that can cascade into like maybe we can get an early Roche, or we could just Roche super early. It will never ever happen in your games, right? Your guys will never like take Roche before you've taken all the tier 2s. I realize that. But it's supposed to. It's supposed to happen, right? It doesn't happen in my freaking games. So, yeah. Okay, cool. So, Blink Doom. Cool, on the Magnus. Perfect. So that's good. That's kind of exactly what we want. Oops. All good. And so then it's... Now we're on this... We're waiting for this timing again. So, you know, this is kind of an issue with Doom. This is why I don't really like Doom. His uptime is terrible. Because he just can't do anything for a really long time, and then he just farms really well in between, which is nice, but you just can't Doom people all the time. What's up, Cybrek? And so in between these areas, we just want to make sure that we're farming as well as we can, right? So we want to make sure somebody's getting this wave. Great job, Sniper. Get this wave. Oh my god. Someone's getting this. Someone's farming down here. Cool. And it's just a farm game now, basically. And so we just want to maximize our farm by getting vision in this area. So this would be, again, next thing, right? So have the smokes, have the wards, move into this area, deward it, right?
Okay.
That's pretty much it. That's if you follow that kind of stuff, if you think about timing the tower pushes to synchronize with the catapults and hero rotations, and then we start thinking about item and ult timings, and then we start thinking about the wards and the smokes to like back that up and then get a majority of the map. We never make it to the game state where it's an hour into the game and AM has 800 last hits.
Yeah.
Because we just close the map on him. He just never gets that space to farm.
I think that's what happened in my first game with the PA.
Yeah.
Like the second game of the like we always rotated and it was just like they never got anything.
Yep. And that's pretty much it, right? So but and this all starts with you understanding the type of game that you're in, right? So this is not an early team fight, super fast tempo game, right? Your cores are super greedy. They should be dictating tempo to you guys with Earthshaker Magnus. But that's where, you know, if we pay attention and we look at Magnus's items and be like, okay, it's 18 minutes and he doesn't have his blink yet. Okay, they're going really slow, you know, or looking at Earthshaker, like, and also tracking things like, you know, Earthshaker just echoed you in mid, so you know that's not down. So now this isn't available. So this is the time to like go make a move, like right after he echoes you. Like, let's see, can we go back to when that happened? Okay, right around here, right? So boom, you're dead. He's committed echo. I would like first off call it, you know, tell your team like, oh, echo used, right?
Okay.
And then that tells Void like, oh, okay, there's no echo. Maybe I'm safe to push this right now. Like he should definitely know like I'm safe to push this because Magnus is dead and there's no echo. You know, and then that kind of it just allows your team to do things if they're paying attention, but it also for you could be like, oh, okay, they just use echo. Why don't I buy a smoke and go invade and take out the wards right now because I know there's no echo, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just literally using any information you can get to figure out when you're strong, when you're weak, when you're allowed to do things, and then kind of like what the next thing you should aim to do is, right?
Okay.
All right, so let's write some notes down. So I'll write them and then I'll read them. Any questions about it so far before we write it all down?
No, I just like try to have like if they rotate into lane, just run back like and don't try not to die. I have tried to get the lane set up like if I'm like with Enchantress, but like if it's like the 5, 10, 15 minutes, like make it like a push wave and stuff. And then if there's like big cooldowns, whatever you use, try like fight around them.
Okay. So we got identify what type of lane you're in. So this one was a farming lane, right? Doom versus AM. Identify what type of game you're in. Also a farming game. 3 greedy doors. Faceless Void, Doom, Sniper is greedy as hell. Right?
Okay.
Pay attention to rotations and expect rotations to continue happening in your lane if it's the only place anyone is going, right? So once the Earthshaker shows up and then you see the Magnus show up, then you can start expecting more people to start showing up, and then you just have to be ready for that. So so if enemy over rotates, back off and don't let them kill you, or if you are way stronger than them and they're over rotating, then you just kill them. But probably in this instance, we would want to just back off and not let them catch us, right?
Okay.
Skill enchant and use creep to push towers and harass. That's really big. We really need to start skilling enchant and actually using it early.
Okay.
Attend dance with an A. Attend dance. Yes, I can spell. Yeah. So skill enchant, use creep to push towers and harass. Don't put a lot of points in impetus and try putting points in nature's attendance. The reason we don't need to put a lot of points in this is because it's only going up by 5% of the distance per level.
Okay.
Right? So if it's 100 units, it's like plus 5 damage. Basically. Okay. And you have an attack range of 575. So, we'll just say going from level 1 impetus to level 2 impetus is like adding 25 pure damage. Which is good. That's definitely good. But the main thing is that you're not really going to have the mana to sustain using this spell over and over again. So you just don't need to put a lot of points into it. And you get a direct benefit to putting points into enchant because it allows you to get different creeps. So every jungle creep has a level to it, right? So the way enchant it goes 4, 5, 6, and then 6 again. So if we want like our, I don't know, centaurs, their centaurs are level 5. We have to have level 2 enchant before we can grab a centaur creep.
Yeah.
Right. Or we have to have level 3 enchant to get a satyr tormentor. We have to have level 2 to get like hell bears. Or where the hell's a hell bear? There's no hell bears, but whatever. Like the good creeps that you want to grab that have like good spells on them, you have to put points in enchant to do that. So that's a qualitative change, not a quantitative change. The way putting impetus is just adding damage, putting points into enchant is literally giving you access to different spells. Right? As well as it's also increasing the slow, it's also giving the creep more health and damage. It's also reducing the cooldown, and it's also increasing the cast range. Like, it's just super value to put points in enchant. And then Nature's Attendance just gets like crazy, right? Because it's what is this? Let's do math real quick. I actually don't know off the top of my head. This is level 1 Nature's Attendance is 40 times 8, right? So we'll just do it real here. 40 times 8. So level
16.
1 Nature's Attendance is a 320 heal.
Yeah.
Right? And then this goes up to 13 times 16. Jesus Christ. That's such a huge heal. 13 times 16 times 8. What the hell? Is that actually how much that heals?
I think it can do.
That's nuts. So this is a level 1 320 heal, and it goes up to 1664.
Technically,
Jesus.
you can get it to like more though, because you can like, if with her talents, you can get like +8.
Yeah, it goes even higher, and then you can get Nature's Attendance Whip. So this is just nuts for tankiness. So super value to put points in this, especially because the mana cost doesn't go up the way it does on enchant, right? Like a lot of spells, like they go up in mana cost, like when they get more powerful. Not hers. That's pretty cool. So yeah, put points in Nature's Attendance for that. I did not realize that was that. I knew it was a big heal. I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah, I know you can get. I know you can definitely get it to like around 2k something.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then
sure.
If you get like, and then when you get like the say you've got like the passive one, she'll get like straight like 300 heal back roughly, something like that, each time.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. Yeah, Enchantress is really fun. I like her. So the skill build needs to be different. I think your ideas on like what items to buy next are correct. We either want like a force staff or a glimmer or a pipe or whatever. But just also consider that like you can totally buy a mech. That's fine.
Okay.
And if it looks like, I would say in this type of a game, it's not like they have a ton of AoE magic damage. That's really only coming from like Magnus's spells, which are kind of whatever. It's not really the point of the hero, right? And kind of like Earthshaker. God, Mana Break is physical damage now. I guess you've got Mana Void to worry about, Ogre spells, and then most of what Hoodwink does is physical damage and some magic. But it's not really like it's not like you're playing against like a Lesh or a Necro or a Zeus or something like that, where like all they do is magic damage. It's a lot of hybrid damage, and that's why I was saying like the mech could be better here. Or just the Glimmer Cape, just to protect your playmaking cores. Like you'd be buying the Glimmer Cape mostly to protect the Doom.
Okay.
It's not really for the Void or the Sniper, but it could be. But it's mostly to help Doom go a little bit ham early on, right?
Okay.
And actually, I had a game yesterday where I bought both. because I was like, screw it. All they have is magic damage. I'm just buying both. So I got Glimmer and Pipe, and it was crazy. I had by the end of the and I took Trickster Cloak. By the end of the game, I had 72% magic resistance.
Wow.
Because I mean, look at their team, right? Necro, Lion, Pudge. It was just all magic damage. I'm like, hell yeah. I'm just gonna be unkillable, and it felt really good. Okay, so your ideas on items are fine. And then it's a big thing about coordinating around these catapult timings and the hero rotations. This is going to play a lot into your own like map awareness, right? Like paying attention to these timings. Like, ooh,
Okay.
it's almost 10 minutes. What does that mean? Catapults are coming up, right? This is also why I was in the earlier episodes. This is why I was putting so much emphasis on the stupid rune rotations, right?
Yeah.
It's to build that habit of you looking at the clock and being like, important thing is coming up soon. So I need to go. It actually doesn't matter what the thing is. You know, it could be a bounty rune, it could be a power rune, it could be a wisdom rune, it could be a catapult, it could be Roche respawning. Any of these things are relevant, and it's kind of your job as a support or just a good player in general to be paying attention to the clock and what's coming up.
Okay.
And then after the towers die, getting wards down in the farming areas that we want, or around towers, around objectives. And then we're just waiting for item and spell timings, and we're trying to hold our smokes for those timings to go do things. And then, you know, obviously, if you can't coordinate with Sniper and Void, then you just coordinate with who you can, right? So maybe the only people that are coordinating are Pudge and Doom. You can still make stuff happen with those three heroes. You just can't coordinate a full-ass team fight. You just have to coordinate like ganks and small things, right? And then eventually, hopefully, Void wakes up and he plugs his keyboard back in and starts chronoing people, right? Who knows? Well, we can't do anything about that. That's on him at that point, right? So, you said already we're practicing the tread switching. Let's keep on that. And felt like you were doing a better job of managing your inventory and also paying attention to when we need to mute people, right? So, let's do for the next week. I want you to start skilling enchant and nature's attendance early. Don't put a lot of points in impetus. So skill enchant and maybe 1 or 2 points maximum in impetus. Okay. And then experiment with microing creeps. So how do you feel about microing creeps in general? Like, is this difficult for you to do?
So like depends like what level it is. Like if it's like at this like I can like micro it to some degree where it's like I can use the abilities on them, and then if it's like focusing more than like one, it's like difficult, I'd just say.
Okay. So Enchantress is kind of nice because you only have the one to worry about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can do it somewhat, but not like a ton. Do you like playing like Warlock or anything like that?
I've not really played him. Like.
Okay. So that's going to be a really big thing for like the unlocking the potential of Ench is starting to get the hang of like actually using these creeps.
Like when I've got them like later, like I can like use them. Like I'll use like the stuns on them or like the clap things. Like sometimes, like if I get like the
Hellbear,
the Hellbear, and I'll net people if like they're running away on it or
that's good
stuff like that.
I'd say it's even useful. Like even if you grab even if you grab creeps that don't have spells, like you just grab like an enemy ranged creep or whatever, and you just use it to run around and help you push and help you scout. Like even is super helpful.
Like so like if I get them later on, I will like there'll be a point when like I will use them. Like I sometimes even send them like across the map when I'm like going somewhere else, just to like put pressure on that like that the like even though I'm not there anymore, it'll be like that's like I want him to go push that lane or push that like camp thing.
Right. By the way,
And it's
these instances, I just want to point this out real quick, right? Because we were saying we want to get in this area and get wards down. This is the perfect opportunity to do that because they're about to make a play on bottom. Once you see this, you can be like, oh, okay, there's no one top, right? So either I'm coming here to defend, or I'm going to use this time and I'm going to sneak up here and just deward this while no one's here. Like I do this all the time. If they show in a different part of the map, I'm like, whoop, I'm stealing your shit. Just sneak in there. Continue what you're saying though about the creeps you're talking about.
Yeah, so like if I'm gonna go somewhere else and I think like it might go iffy, I'll just send a creep there to like, even if that we say we lose maybe like or something like that, the creep maybe like pushed their stuff a bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, just using it to split push and stuff. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious. So we'll say experiment with micro and creeps. Try coordinating good tower pushes around double waves, enchanted creeps, catapults, and hero rotations. So look for these opportunities and try and make them happen, right? And they can be by asking the other support to come to your lane. It's also making sure that your camp is unblocked so you can do that. Maybe doing, around like before 10 minutes, around like, let's say like the 9:15 wave, we would do a single pull on that one and try and create a double wave. All this stuff to like set up the double wave push, right? So because the goal, right, of all of this is to accelerate the game. So that we don't end up in hour-long farm fests where it's just a dice roll to see what happens, right? That's what we're trying to avoid. Any questions?
No.
Okay, for sure. Well, then we can call it there. And trying to think. I'm trying to think what's going on next week. Yeah, if you want to do next Thursday again, next Thursday should be good.
Okay then.
I think. And yeah, we'll plan on that. So next Thursday, same time. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Alrighty then. Then I will see you then, dude. Thank you. Good job this week.
No problem. No worries. I think my what was it called? My MO1 was 1496.
Sweet. Using double down tokens?
Nah.
Oh wow, okay. Still, that's good though.
Like yeah.
Got good stuff then. Alright, so we're climbing. Sweet.
Yeah, I think I just won the 3 games. Like so it was like pretty good.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, cool. Well, let's call it there, and I'll catch you next time.
No problem.
Alright.
I'll see you next week then. Thank you.
Alright, see you, dude. Have a good one.
Bye.
Alright, guys, if you found that helpful, don't forget, like and subscribe. It helps out a lot. If you had any questions, put them down in the comments. If you're interested in getting coached by me, you can put a message here or in my Discord or check out my Patreon, any of that stuff. And if you want to watch me live, I record these on Twitch at Mistrip TV. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.